Okay, so a lot of information here to figure out. All right, sorry about this typo. Okay, so population drug screening, 4% of the people actually use drugs. So probability of uses is 0.04. Okay, so that means probability of doesn't use, so not use, is 0.96. Okay. So false positive. So probability of false positive is 0.03. Probability of false negative is 0.02. Okay. And what else do we have? If you test, thus a person who tests positive for them 98% of the time, and a person who uses drugs tests positive 98% of the time, and then who doesn't test positive, who does not use drugs, tests negative for them 97% of the time. So test positive 98% of the time, and he uses, right? And who doesn't use, so I'll just say negative in both sense, right, is 0.97. Okay, so what is this one asking? What's the probability that you test positive? So that's the given that you test positive. That's the given that actually uses drugs. So what is the probability that you use drugs given that you test positive? Okay, so what that's going to be is the probability that you use and you test positive divided by the probability you use and you test positive plus the probability you don't use and you test positive. Okay, so the probability that you use is uses is 0.04, right? 0.04, and that you test positive given that you use, that's the 0.98, right? That's this one here. Okay, divided by, so I'm going to have that same number, 0.04 times 0.98 plus doesn't use yet and you test positive. So doesn't use and you test positive. So that's this 0.97. That's like the false positive. So that's the 0.97 times the testing, the false positive. So that's times the 0.03. Phew. Okay. What is the probability that he tests negative for drugs? Who tests negative, so that's the given that you test negative. What's the probability no drugs? Probability of no drugs. Okay, so that's going to be probability of doesn't use, right? No drugs and test negative divided by, so probability of no drugs, test negative, and then plus probability that uses and you test negative. Okay, so what's that going to give me? So probability that there's, let me pull it back up here. You test negative and you don't use drugs, that's the 0.97. And the probability you don't use drugs, that's the 0.96. Okay, all over, so you get that same thing in the denominator, along with, so you're not, you tested negative, so that's the 0.97, and you got, you test negative and you use drugs, which is the 0.96. Where did that go? There it is, right there. No, that's the point. So 0.97 is you tested negative, and 0.97 times tested negative, but you use This is wrong. No drugs. No, hold on. Okay, sorry, I was getting myself mixed up. Probability of uses is 0.04, and probability you test negative, but you actually did use, so that's a false negative, so that's a 0.02. Shoot, sorry about that.